Welcome back to another episode of Lost in the Dark podcast. I am finally back in the crypt. It has been quite the week. Thank you all so much for joining me tonight. And yeah, I got some things I want to talk about. So let's get right to it. On Saturday, this past Saturday, I went to a concert, as one does. Sadly, now, shout out to Recorruptor. They put on an incredible show on Saturday night at the Music Factory in Battle Creek. I already had tickets to a different show by the time that got announced, so sadly, I was not able to attend. But I hear it was just fantastic. It was an fucking monster lineup. It was just all Michigan metal, and yeah, I'm bummed. I'm bummed I missed it. But the one I went to was crazy, for me at least. So I went back for the last, at least as of right now, for the last show of the year that I would be going to one of my favorite venues in the state, the Machine Shop in Flint, Michigan. As of right now, there's nothing else that they have announced for the rest of the year that I plan on really going to. So it's possible that the book for the year, at least, is closed on both Pine Knob DT and the Machine Shop. I think DT is about done for their season. They're an outdoor venue, so in Michigan you can only go till like late September, early October. But yeah, so my final show for the year, at least as of right now, at the Machine Shop, was Cobra and the Lotus, opening for Sebastian Bach. Cobra and the Lotus is not a band I'm terribly familiar with. I've heard their name a number of times. I don't believe I'd ever seen them live before, but you know, it's not quite as heavy as I normally like stuff to be, but it definitely wasn't bad. It was really, they had some pretty fucking good riffs. The vocalist had like a modern Doro thing kind of going on. I don't know. I thought they were very good. It wasn't really like necessarily my thing, but I thought they were pretty good. But yeah, I went to that show entirely to see Sebastian Bach, especially in a place as tiny as the Machine Shop. Now, why? You know what I mean? Like, why do I, we normally talk about Cannibal Corpse and Lamb of God and things like that on here. Why are we talking about Sebastian Bach? Well, everyone has their start, right? And so anybody that may have listened to this already knows that when I first got into music, the first heavy music that I found was the old stuff. So AC/DC, Judas Priest, Iron Maiden, Metallica, Megadeth, Rage Against the Machine, Sabbath, Zeppelin, Purple, I mean, more. And then I'll tell you, also with all that, fucking Poison, Motley Crue, Skid Row. So yeah, I was into all of it. Like, and it's kind of crazy because I was never like made aware, like someone discovering all of this by themselves in the early 2000s. I'm coming at it in that perspective. I'm not aware of infighting. I'm not aware that fucking people that go to Metallica shows fight the people that go to Poison shows and shit like that. I'm just like a 13-year-old kid just finding all this music that I like. You know what I mean? So it wasn't until later that I really discovered like the infighting between the subgenres. Which is why I get it from back then, but I don't like really like, I don't get it now. Like, it doesn't make sense to me now because I like it all. You know what I mean? But, also too, another big influence on me growing up was honestly those fucking VH1 shows, like all those like 100 most and least metal moments, 100 best and worst metal songs, 100 fucking I love the whatevers, all that stuff. Anything where they ever mentioned anything about heavy metal, I watched it and I soaked it up. So that's where a lot of the stuff comes from too. So I was just kind of like taking in everything, you know what I mean? And through that time, there were some very specific, obviously at different points in time, but at one point in time, there were definitely, like my favorite vocalists of all time at one point would have been Bon Scott, fucking Bruce Dickinson, Axl Rose, and Sebastian Bach. Like, I thought these guys were just the next level, you know what I mean, in terms of being a lead vocalist. And yeah, I really they were all the leads of bands that I was in love with. Skid Row, obviously, I never really went much past the first album, but that first album was unbelievable. And Sebastian Bach, that's what this tour is. It's the 30th anniversary of the first Skid Row album, and he played it in its entirety, top to bottom. So for me, that's insane, because there was a point in time in like late middle school, early high school, where I was listening to that album every single fucking day. Like every day. I knew every hook, every fucking line, everything, all of it. I knew every piece, every part of that album. One of my favorite memories that I have in life is a moment Preston and I were leaving a movie theater. I can't remember what we were seeing, but we were leaving a movie theater, and he had his car. See, I got my license a little bit before he did, even though we're only 3 months apart. I got my license before he did, but he had a car before he had his license. So when I would go out to his house, we would take his car out because he had a 1993 red Firebird, and it was fucking badass. I love that car. So I would drive that with him. And we're leaving the fucking movie theater. We get in the Firebird. It's warm out. I remember it was warm out. And it started to rain. And the windshield wipers didn't work. So we rolled down the windows. And we were driving to a bowling alley to meet some friends. We rolled down the windows. We fucking turn Youth Gone Wild all the way up. And we stick our heads out the window so we can see, because we can't see out the windshield. And just start screaming that song. By the time we got to the fucking bowling alley, our fucking voices were probably shot. Like, screaming that shit. Like, just, Youth Gone Wild. Like, that one of my favorite memories in life is that moment. The fucking... hold on one second. The first and, entirely possible, the first and possibly to date, the only person I would ever say that I've truly been in love with, I Remember You, was our song. You know what I mean? After that relationship was over, I couldn't listen to that song for years. Like years. Fucking... yeah, like I have a lot of very deep sentimental connection to that first Skid Row. And here's the other thing. Yeah, it's kind of like it's one of those bridge albums. You know what I mean? It's kind of like right there in between like hair metal and straight up heavy metal. You know what I mean? Because it's 1989. It came out same year I was born, 1989. And you go back and listen to it, it is way heavier. It's more like you'd be better off comparing Skid Row's first album to Guns N' Roses' first album than you would Poison's first album. In terms of sound, in terms of like rawness and how heavy and fast and hard and just yeah, just how fucking raw it sounded. You know what I mean? Just that, it was just really a stripped back but heavy fucking attitude sound. You know what I mean? So that was something that really drew me to it, because I mean, Appetite for me is one of the greatest. I mean, in my opinion, it's a perfect album. Like, it's a perfect album to me. But the first Skid Row album, self-titled, it has similar, like, I don't know, like feeling to it, like that just real raunchy and raw and aggressive sound. So it really drew me to that, as opposed to, like, it was why I don't necessarily. They're a little bit different than just straight up glam. You know what I mean? No matter how they look in the videos or whatever, they still had that look, sure, but the sound was different. And yeah, so it's just, you know, that was an album for me that was kind of a bridge in a sense, and very, very, very important. And it's crazy, I guess. You know, one thing that was weird to me about this show was I felt like I don't know what the capacity of the Machine Shop is. Let's just throw a number out there and say 800. It was sold out. This show sold out when it went on sale a few months back in 2 hours. Sebastian Bach last night said that it was the fastest show to sell out on the tour. Yeah, like, so it was a packed house. And out of the maybe, I don't know, 800, I don't know, throwing a number out there, people that were there, I would say I was one of 15 or less people that were of my age or younger. I'd say the 99.9% of that crowd was at least 15 to 20 years older than me, which I don't know, like, that always surprises me when I go to shows like this. When I go to, like, you know, some of the older ones, stuff like this. Like, am I the only one my age that was getting into heavy metal at that time in the early 2000s and was watching all those VH1 shows? Am I the only one that got into it like that? You know what I mean? And can, like, really just appreciate it all and like to go to it all? Like, I swear to God, there were moments in this show where I was absolutely losing my fucking shit. All right? Like, when Can't Stand the Heartache, fucking Piece of Me, and then Youth Gone Wild. I mean, what do you want me to say? Like, I was doing what I felt like, you know, I'm a fucking metalhead. I'm losing my shit. I'm headbanging, hair's going everywhere. I'm jumping up and down, throwing the horns. Don't be near me. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to start moshing in a Sebastian Bach concert, but I'm going to be going apeshit, because this is crazy to me. This is crazy to me that I'm seeing him. You got to understand, the Machine Shop, it's a tiny, 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 tiny venue. So to see him, a legend, like, think about, like, okay, so not only did I always love Skid Row, but then I had a reinvention with Sebastian Bach, because maybe I'm the only one in the fucking world. I don't know. But, well, no, actually, I know for a fact I'm not, because Rolling Stone gave it a good review. But when I don't give a fuck, all right? Fuck yourself. When Chinese Democracy came out, I loved it. I did not expect it to sound like Guns N' Roses. I knew this wasn't Guns N' Roses. I know it's Guns N' Roses trying to... Yeah, it's Axl's Guns N' Roses, Chinese Democracy. I accepted that before it came out. So when I came out, I got to, like, judge it based on let it stand alone, be on its own merit, not compare it to Appetite. Nothing compares to Appetite. Stop. You know what I mean? So I loved that. I still love that album. And on that tour, when they were playing at Donington, on most of the Chinese Democracy tour, Sebastian Bach was opening for him. And when they played Donington, he was there. And he came out and sang My Michelle with Axl Rose. Go on YouTube and watch that perform. That is one of my all-time favorite live performances. Like, Axl and Sebastian Bach singing My Michelle in front of that crowd is insane. Like, my friend Jordan and I, we found a way to rip that song off of YouTube and put it onto a CD so we could put it in a car and just blast it, and we would sing that shit so fucking loud. Are you kidding me? Mama, my mama, my mama shit. Oh my God. Oh, fuck. Love that shit. Oh my, and they like go back and forth and oh man, no, it's great. So like I've always really been a big Sebastian fan, and I did have a chance to see him once. Fuck, many years ago. I honestly don't even remember what show it was, but we showed up late and we missed him, and that was the only time I'd ever had a chance to see him until now. So to see him in such a tiny, in one of my favorite venues, in such a tiny venue, was just surreal for me. And not only for that, but to see him playing top to bottom the album that I love so much and that like means so much to me. Fucking formative shit, you know what I'm saying? Like, it was a bit of a spiritual experience for me. Like, and to the point, so yeah, I was going ape shit, headbanging, jumping up and down, just losing my mind. Cannot believe what I'm seeing in front of me happen right now. And twice, because I'm looking around. I'm looking around, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm paying attention to the crowd. I'm the only one, as far as I can tell, headbanging. As far as I can tell, I'm about the only one besides Sebastian Bach. So twice during the show, he fucking made eye contact and pointed at me and gave me the horns and shit. Like, I was losing my mind. All right, people? Like, you know what happens when that happens to you at a show. Losing your mind. So, and not only that, but he actually, like, sounded really good. Like, way better, honestly, than I thought he was going to. Like, can still sound quite a lot like he sounded on that first album. Now, one thing I'll say is that, like, especially in that Donington video, and, like, according to what, because Preston saw Guns on the Chinese Democracy Tour and saw Sebastian Bach open and perform that song with Axl. So he actually saw that live. And he said it was unlike anything he'd ever seen, and that Sebastian Bach is one of the greatest, if not the greatest, frontman of all time. Now, I'll give it to him. This was probably 12 years ago now, at least. 12-ish years ago now. Maybe farther. I don't know. But, so it was a long time ago. But that frontman Sebastian Bach is not the Sebastian Bach I think I really saw. Like, full-scale frontman Sebastian. Because, now granted, the stage is very small, so he can't do a lot of the things he would do that I've seen him do in live footage before. But, I don't know. He just wasn't headbanging that much. You know what I mean? He was, but like just not as much as I've seen him do in videos before and stuff. I don't know. Maybe, you know, it's mid-tour. Maybe he's just tired or whatever, off night or whatever. He sounded really good, though. That's what I'm saying. Is that, like, while I don't feel like I got the full-scale frontman Sebastian Bach, maybe, he sounded excellent. And he really did fucking put on a cool show. And the 30th, they had, like, in between songs, they had like a slideshow of pictures going. He would stop and talk about some of the pictures. It's like him and Lemmy, him and fucking Jovi, you know, cool shit like that, whatever. But yeah, I mean, for me, this show was crazy. Like, kind of a dream, like, outside of it being a full-scale Skid Row reunion, it's, you know, kind of a dream come true just to see him at least sing that album top to bottom. Like, sound, you know, he made the point. He was like, I recorded this when I was 19. I'm like 50 now. So, you know what I mean? And he still sounded pretty fucking, like, damn good. Like, totally blew me away. So yeah. It was an insane, excellent show. He opened with a Skid Row song that I actually didn't know called Forever. And then he played the album top to bottom. And then he encored with Slave to the Grind, In a Darkened Room, and Monkey Business. And, Yeah, I mean, Big Guns, Sweet Little Sister, 18 in Life, Here I Am, Midnight, When the Clock Strikes Midnight. Oh, God damn it. Nothing but classics on that. That album is such a hitter. Like, top to bottom, nothing but classics and just gold. Solid fucking gold. And it was really special to see that live. I sadly had to go to this one alone, so I was just kind of like in the crowd, like, "Ugh." But I couldn't miss it. Like, I had to see that one. So many fucking memories that I have surrounded by songs on that album, and I've seen this is, oh shit, god damn, this is the first time in a long time where I've seen someone like this for the first time. Because I've been lucky enough to see so many, you know what I mean? I was lucky enough to see Dio and Lemmy and Ozzy and fucking Chester and fucking, Mitch and who else? Alice Cooper. Some of these people. Now, I'm not just saying dead people for the record. Alice Cooper. Fucking. Def Leppard, Poison, Motley Crue. I've seen them. I've seen all of them. I've seen Skid Row without Sebastian Bach, and now I've seen Sebastian Bach without Skid Row. All members of original Sabbath. Maiden, Megadeth, the classics. You know what I mean? So many of the fucking, like, AC/DC, for Christ's sake. Like, I saw him with Malcolm Young. Like, so many of the fucking classics. It's been a long time since I've seen someone like this for the first time. And it was a very, very special experience for me. And I'm very glad I got to see it. And I hope that I get to see him again one day. I really do. Also, I hope I get to see, I'm reading articles that Dee Snider is saying he doesn't know when he's going to play again, which really bums me out because his new album was incredible. And I've only gotten to see him once with Twisted Sister. I'd love to see him solo though, like with that new album, because he's a legend as well. But yeah, man, what a show. If you have a like for Sebastian Bach and Skid Row, trust me, you're gonna want to check out this tour. I'd be surprised if many do, considering the crowd that I saw last night. But hey, you never know. In any case, that's kind of all I got for you. I just kind of wanted to talk for a minute about that show because, I like to talk about every show I go to on here, and that one was a real special one for me because it just, yeah, a lot of memories with that album. Between the song Youth Gone Wild and I Remember You, especially, fuck, crazy. So anyway, let's wrap this, bring the sucker in. I'm going to do some plugs for people. Be sure to follow and keep up with Bog Wraith. There is movement happening in the Bog Wraith camp right now, so be sure to check them out. They're popping up on Twitch and stuff like that, so be sure to check them out and follow them on all social media and everything. Recorruptor, our boys in Recorruptor have some shows coming up September 27th at the Sanctuary in Hamtramck with Disentombed, Visceral Disgorge, and Signs of the Swarm. They also will be at the Loft in Lansing on October 18th with From Blue to Gray, and then on November 15th with Centenary, Obscene, Iron Mountain, and Human Maceration in Lansing at Max Bar. Hit them up for tickets and be sure to follow them on all the social media and Bog Wraith, Facebook, Instagram, Bandcamp, YouTube, And yeah, I think that's it. Facebook, Instagram, Bandcamp, YouTube. Bog Wraith has a Patreon. And they also have Twitch channels, so check those out as well. Be sure to follow our friends and support your local music scene. It all starts with you. You never know. The next Priest, the next Slipknot, the next AC/DC, the next Lamb of God, the next Cannibal Corpse, the next Iron Maiden, the next Ozzy might be playing small, tiny $2 local shows in your town right now. You never know. Go out, support your local music scene. It all starts there. And yeah, that's gonna be about it for me tonight. We will be back again. Hopefully, this week we'll have some review. We'll have some things out. I'm looking forward to it. Hopefully, fingers crossed. So, yeah. Until next time, thank you all so much for listening. I cannot tell you how much I appreciate it, and please give us a check out on all the social media, Facebook, Instagram, especially, and YouTube and iTunes. Thank you so much for spending an evening with me. I love you all to death. Raise your horns, bang your head. Good night.